Good morning friends. Today I am going to explain the most important topic of ray optics, that is interference of light, Young's double slit experiment. Okay. Here before going to talk about this experiment, first of all we should know what is interference of light. So we all of you know the light ray is traveling in the form of a crust trough. Okay. Now interference of light is nothing but it's a addition or combination of two light rays. Let us suppose there are two light rays are there, A and B. When those two light rays are superimposed to each other, so that particular phenomenon is called the interference of light. Now what is types of interference? There are two types of interference are there, that is constructive interference and destructive interference. Now let us suppose a wave is A and B light rays are superimposed in each other in such a manner that crust is falls on the crust and trough is falls on the trough. Okay, so that particular wherever the crust is falls on the crust, that is called the constructive interference. Wherever the trough is falls on the trough, that is called the destructive interference. Wherever the crust is falls on the crust, constructive interference takes place, the intensity will be maxima, and wherever the destructive interferences takes place, the intensity will be minima. Okay, now come to the main topic, that is Young's double slit experiment for interference. Here Thomas Young first demonstrated experimentally the phenomenon of interference of light in the year 1801. Okay, so this is experimentally first demonstrated by the Thomas. Okay, now these are the experimental arrangement. Here there is a small pinhole S. The sunlight is coming through pinhole S. Okay, now there are two pinholes S1 and S2 are which are at equidistance from the S. Here these the distance from S to S and S1 to S is equal. Okay, now there is a screen X Y on which the interference pattern is obtained. Here these blue color lines are represents the crust, and these dotted lines dotted brown color lines are represents the trough. Now when the sunlight is incident on S, the light rays or spherical light rays are spread in all the direction, and the light rays are traveling in the form of a crust and trough, and these spherical light rays are move in the forward direction, and those are instant on the S1 and S2. Okay, now again these light rays are traveling in the forward direction, and the light rays which are coming from the S2, as the radii of these light rays, spherical light rays increases, so those will be superimposed to light rays of S1, and the S1 light rays whose radii is increases then will be superimposed to S2. So like that, at some places constructive interference takes place, at some places destructive interference takes place. So due to which the intensity will be maxima minima will be obtained on the screen. Okay, so this is the experiment. Just now I told you sunlight is allowed to pass through a pinhole S at some distance as two sufficiently close pinholes S1 and S2 are formed on the opaque screen. Okay, the interference pattern can be obtained on the screen X1. So this is only the experimental arrangement. Okay, now the explanation for this, just now I told you, we know that when the sunlight passes through the pinhole S1, spherical waves are spread out. From Huygens theory, each point on the wavefront is acts as a secondary source of wavelet. So we know that each point on the wavefront is acts as a secondary source of wavelets. That is, here each point on the wavelets means what? That is a small wave. Okay, so these spherical waves are spread out from pinholes S1 and S2. The radii of these wavefronts increases as they move away from the S1 and S2. So just now I told you the radii of these waves are increases as they move from S1 to S2. So due to which these two light rays are which are coming from S1 and S2 are superimposed to each other. Okay, here in the figure, continuous arcs are represents the crust and dotted arcs are represents the trough. So this just now I told you continuous arcs are represent crust, and these dotted lines are represents the trough. Okay, in each wave at points where a crust due to one wave falls on the crust due to the another wave, the resultant amplitude is the sum of the amplitude of each wave, and the result these points the intensity is increases, and this is known as the constructive interference. So just now I told you, wherever the crust of one wave is falls on the crust of the another wave, so here the constructive interference is uh, takes place. So wherever the trough is superimposed to each other, then the destructive interference is takes place. Here, due to the constructive interference, intensity will be maximum on the screen, and there is due to the destructive interference, the intensity will be minima. Okay, there is no light here. Okay, so the central pattern will be maxima. Okay, now here as we go from center to in this direction, upward direction or right direction, the intensity is slowly decreasing, and here also from center to this side the intensity is slowly decreasing. So as we go from this point to that point, the intensity, this one is the principal maxima, next secondary maxima, third maxima. So here also secondary maxima, third maxima. So like this the interference pattern is obtained on the screen. Okay, so this is known as the Young's double slit experiment for interference pattern. Thank you. For more videos, subscribe my channel Physics.